Hello fellow pilgrims. I'm going to talk to you briefly about a few Camino gadgets. Some of these are essential and some I would just consider pointers. We all like to carry one or two bits and pieces. Firstly, when it comes to, most of us will be taking along a smartphone of some sort or another. Many smartphones are very expensive, and we all take a bit of a risk leaving our phones charging unattended in a hostel. And whilst the instance of theft is pretty low on the Camino, it is still possible, and it could be quite a disaster if somebody either inadvertently or deliberately makes off with your smartphone. What I would advise instead is take along a power bank. It will unfortunately add a little bit to your weight, but what you can do is to leave the power bank charging at the hostel and make sure you keep your phone with you at all times. That way, when you're walking during the day, you can just simply charge your phone from the power bank and then just go through that cycle each day. Leave your power bank charging when you arrive at the hostel and you manage to bag your bed. And if that goes missing, well, you're only talking about 10, 15 euros. Shouldn't really be a big deal. Certainly considerably less than the price of a replacement smartphone, let alone all the aggravation of trying to reload everything. When it comes to charging, some people outside of Europe prefer to take along an adapter such that they can use their existing charger in a socket. Again, another thing you can do to cut down on weight is to just simply buy one. They're really not that much more expensive than an adapter, and overall you're going to save weight. Particularly if you buy one that has multi-ports. You could well be the best friend of other pilgrims who are desperately trying to find somewhere to charge their phone, especially if you have one or two additional cables. Again, these aren't particularly expensive. You're only talking about sort of 10, 12 euros or so. Single ones, of course, slightly less, but quite frankly, for my money, I'd rather buy one that, again, there's negligible difference in the weight of these, so get one with multiple ports so it can be shared with others. When it comes to headlights and torches, you don't really need anything especially powerful. It's amazing how quickly your eyes adapt to the darkness, and apart from anything else, you really won't want to upset other people. If you're getting up early morning, say 5:30 or something, in order to make an early start, it's still dark in the morning. The little Petzl one is really good. I found other ones that the light itself only weighs literally 25 grams. 25 grams, virtually nothing. And a pen cell, I believe it's a CR 2032, will last you probably at least 2 weeks before you need to replace it. So taking this one out, you can save a little bit more weight by not bothering to take the packaging along with you, the little case. This one, in addition to the usual light, it also has red light on a red light facility, which is really useful when you're looking around when the lights have gone out in the hostel and you wish to do your best to avoid disturbing other pilgrims. So that's the lights for you. Again, as I say, you don't really need an ultra powerful one. Earplugs, of course, absolutely essential if you're going to be, if you believe you're going to be disturbed by other people snoring. If you know that you're a snorer yourself, if you find any devices that work, the type that go up your nostrils or the ones that hold your nostrils apart, maybe they work, maybe they don't, or a spray, do take it with you, because again, you're going to be upsetting a lot of pilgrims with your snoring if you don't. Another thing, I've had this for many years and I've never needed to use it. Well, up to you if you take it. There are some things that you take on a Camino that are really just an insurance in case something goes wrong. This is an emergency sleeping bag, such that if you caught out on the mountain, shouldn't need it at all during the summer, but during the winter, if you get caught in a storm, this could be a lifesaver. Certainly you're going to need some sort of sunscreen. This one's just like a deodorant type stick, particularly for your facial areas. Then when it comes to, what should we know? This, hats. Right, this one's a bit of a gimmick. When I walked my first Camino, the Camino Frances, there was a particular section where 10 minutes of it were constant flies, which were a real menace. But I wouldn't say it really justifies taking along any kind of fly net. But this is a Life Systems device, a hat that springs out of virtually nothing. It's a little bit heavier than a regular hat, but it's about sort of 10 centimetres in diameter, and then you let it spring open and it turns into a hat, and also a drop down mosquito net. But quite frankly, there's not really, flies shouldn't really be a problem, so personally I wouldn't worry about one of these. So we'll cast that aside. My all-time favourite hat is just simply one of these simple flappy ones that fold up into virtually nothing. This one I particularly like, although in theory, if you're walking the Frances, you'll probably have the rising sun sort of ahead of you, but there are times, particularly around midday, when the sun's going to be beating down, and this hat rather usefully can protect your neck. So if I put the thing on, hopefully you can see that the back of my neck is protected, or would be protected, should there be hot direct sun. And you really don't want to get sunstroke. Not a good idea at all. In a similar vein, I would strongly recommend that you take along some sort of salts, rehydration salts preferably. That needn't be anything particularly elaborate. However, if you find yourself or any other person approaching sunstroke, the problem is that we drink lots and lots and lots of water, and of course that tends to dilute the body salts, and that can be very dangerous. Once your body salts dip below a certain level, then your body, your mind can't really cope with it. If you never need to use it yourself, and you find somebody else in that kind of state, they've had too much sun exposure, they're dehydrated. In addition to water, what they really need is some rehydration salts. You can the ones you take for diarrhea or upset stomach, they can be as good as anything. They weigh virtually nothing, and they can be part of, what I would say, an essential part of your first aid kit. When it comes to rain gear, well, I think everybody has their own feelings in that. Some people prefer to take a poncho. I'm okay with that. Personally, I do tend to find that with ponchos, when it's raining, it also tends to be windy, and the poncho ends up sort of being blown up into your face quite sometimes. The other thing that can happen, if you're walking on your own and it suddenly starts raining, try putting a poncho on over your backpack without any additional help. Try that at home before you actually leave. Personally, I find that extremely difficult. to actually manipulate, unless you're double jointed and you can really get your hands behind your head properly, to actually pull the poncho down over your backpack. It can be incredibly difficult without another person helping you. I therefore much prefer to take some sort of rain jacket. This one from Burger House is a high-tech one. It's ultra light. It weighs only 80 grams. The only thing I would say about it is it's not particularly strong, being so lightweight. So if you happen to be walking along an area where there's brambles or anything, not that there's many like that on much of the Camino Frances, but you're more likely to encounter that, say, in France on the Pedinsis, the GR65, and maybe one or two other Caminos. So rather than this, I'd sacrifice having a little bit of extra weight, and I much prefer the Pack Light 2, which is bigger and a lot stronger.